A very warm welcome to one and all for the online workshop on food safety and food biotechnology. At the outset, I extend my heartfelt thanks to School of Life Sciences, Abdur Rahman Crescent Institute of Science and Technology for organizing this International Food Safety Day workshop. Today, our topic is going to be on food safety for small and medium enterprises. A brief introduction about me. I am Ramya. I've completed my BTech Industrial Biotechnology from Center for Biotechnology, Anna University, my Master's in Food Production Management from University of Nottingham, and I have over 16 years experience in the food industry. I've worked with product development, quality assurance, and also laboratory systems management. I have hands-on experience in auditing, FSSAI, and other food quality standards, and I have completed more than 40 plus trainings in HACCP, GMP, and FSSC 22000. World Food Safety Day has been observed on June 7th from the year 2019. The World Health Organization implemented this day with the aim to reduce foodborne generated diseases globally. The main aim was to prevent, detect, and manage foodborne risks. Also, to draw global attention to the contamination of food and water. World Food Safety Day 2021 has the theme is Safe Food Today for a Healthy Tomorrow. So the main aim was to focus on producing and consuming safe food. Having safe food gives an immediate and a long-term benefit to people, the planet, and the economy. Before we go on to the food safety aspect for small and medium enterprises, I just want to give you a brief understanding of the food processing sector in India. The food processing sector is one of the largest industries in India, and it ranks fifth in terms of production, consumption, and exports. This has been claimed to be the sunrise sector and has gained prominence in the recent years. Availability of raw materials, changing lifestyles, and many fiscal policies seem to be pushing the industry's growth. The food processing sector serves as a vital link between the agriculture and the industrial segments of the economy. When we look at the agri-produce and the production of various fruit products in India, we rank first in the world for the production of milk, ghee, pulses, ginger, banana, guava, papaya, and mango. And India also ranks second in the production of rice, wheat, and many other fruits and vegetables. That is why the food processing sector has been claimed to be the sunrise sector. The food sector has recorded an average annual growth rate of 10% for the past 5 years in the year up to the year ending 2018-19 as compared to around 3.11% in 2011-12. The food processing sector is an important sector of the Indian economy in terms of its contribution to GDP, employment, and investment. You'll be surprised to know that the food industries have the largest number of factories and also engages the largest number of persons as well. It is highly labor intensive. So although low capital intensity, the output of food products is not compromised as it is the largest among all food industries. So the food processing sector is one of the major employment intensive segments. And this food processing sector can be divided into registered and unregistered segments. So if you see in terms of employment, the registered sector has about 19.33 lakhs of people working up to the year 2017-18. and this constitutes around 12.38% of the total employment. Unregistered segment is even more. So if you take the census up to 2015-16, there were around 51.11 lakh people employed in the food processing unregistered sector. This is a huge number. And if you see in terms of percentage, around 14.18% of the overall employment comes from the unregistered food processing sector. So with this kind of growth and this kind of demand in the industry, we have to start focusing on food safety. So what is food safety? Food safety, as defined by Codex, is the assurance that food will not cause harm to the consumer when it is prepared and or eaten according to its intended use. All of us love food. Every other hour or every around 3 to 4 times a day, we need to eat food. Now imagine if the food you eat is constantly causing some kind of a discomfort or a harm to you. As a consumer, would you like to have that kind of a product? So the food safety plays a very, very imperative role in this segment. So here, the main focus is to assure the consumer that the food that is being consumed will not cause any harm. So protecting the customer against health hazards is a main objective. So for that, we need to develop and protect the system for producing and supplying safe food. Therein, we will prevent the food hazards. Let us see where we stand today in terms of food safety. We are all aware that access to safe and nutritious food is a key to sustaining life and promoting good health. Unsafe food, that is, food which contains bacteria, virus, parasites, or even chemical substances, causes more than 200 diseases, ranging from diarrhea to cancers. If you take a survey, an estimated 600 million people, that is almost 1 in every 10 persons in the world, fall ill after eating contaminated food. Around 4 lakh 20,000 people die every year because of unsafe food. This is a huge number. There is about $110 billion US dollars lost in productivity, medical expenses from unsafe food in the low and middle income countries. Who are the most affected by this unsafe food? It is the children under 5 years of age, wherein 40% of the foodborne disease burden is borne by them. And around 1,25,000 children died because of unsafe food. The most common illness of unsafe food is the diarrheal disease. So the food safety, nutrition, and food security are inextricably linked. So the previous slide shows us why we have to give so much of importance to the food industry in terms of food safety. So what is the objectives of food safety? Protecting the customer against health hazards is the main objective. And like I said before, development and protection of a system for producing and supplying safe food. You need to prevent the food hazards. You need to manage risks across the food chain. It is not only the manufacturer or only the transporter or only the retail industry who has to take care of food safety. It is a farm to fork approach. An environment of quality assurance approach where even the supplier assumes the responsibility for safety. Very, very important. All these put together can give a brand protection. So what are the food safety driving factors? Never has food safety come under such scrutiny. Regulators are increasingly active in safeguarding food. Globalization And dismantling of trade barriers means suppliers have to compete on equal terms. And customers are better educated and informed and are demanding in terms of safety, consistency, quality, and value for money. You have regulatory bodies like the governments, the World Health Organization, market access, shareholders, insurance, retailers, private labels, all of them who focus a lot on food safety, and thereby these are the driving factors for food safety. When we look at the food safety measures, this triangle depicts the various levels or the various food safety measures that can be implemented in an organization or by a food production or a food industry. So GMP is a base level which focuses on people, the premises, processes, the products and the procedures. This GMP can be implemented by a very small shop. It can be even a tea shop who can implement the GMP practices, right up to a huge manufacturing industry. Okay? So this is a base level for the food safety. The next one is hazard, which is based on risk-based food safety plans. And the final one, which is those standards which are recognized by the Global Food Safety Initiative, which is GFSI. And under this comes the FSSC 22000 BRC and SQF. Okay, so this triangle depicts the various levels of food safety measures that can be implemented in an organization. Today, we're going to focus on GMP or good manufacturing practices. And this, we're going to see how we can apply these practices to medium and small enterprises. So GMP, all the practices that ensure the safety and suitability of food at all stages of the food chain. So how, as a manufacturing industry, how would you ensure safe food at all the stages in the food chain? So that is what we're going to see today. In this GMP, it allows each service provider to decide individually how to best implement the necessary controls. So what are the benefits of implementing GMP in your manufacturing industry, or even if you're having a small home-cooked, home-based kitchen? So this avoids food poisoning, it increases the food safety, food quality standards increase, organizes your process to produce safe food, it organizes your staff, promoting teamwork and efficiency, ensures you're compliant with the law, and ultimately, and what is very required is it saves your business and money in the long run. Let us now move on to what does GMP include. It starts with the site standards and the construction and layout of your building, receiving and storage of raw materials, processing, utilities, the air, water, the energy that you use, cross-contamination, equipment maintenance, waste disposal, pest control, hygiene of the establishment, and personal hygiene, which is very important, and finally the training. So all these aspects are what forms the basis of GMP. Let us look at each one by one. Site standards. So when you have your industry or your factory site has to be registered as per the local legislation. So GMP also focuses on the statutory and legal requirements which you have to meet as an industry. The factory has to be constructed away from neighboring polluting industries. So you have to take this into consideration while choosing an area for your factory. Then the access to the factory has to be controlled. Who can enter your factory premises? That has to be controlled. The factory layout has to be in line with the process flow. The internal site standards, what we're going to see next, is that you need to have a segregation of for the various activities. right from the receiving area, then the stores, storage of raw material, packing material, this has to be segregated. Then the processing hall and the packing and storage of the final products. So how are you going to construct the buildings? There's small things which you need to make a note of and if possible implement it. Suppose you have the joints, you're going to construct a new building. Then the joints between the walls and the ceilings, walls and the floor and the wall and the ceiling should be coved. Okay, so when I say coved, it means it should be lightly curved. Then the floors have to slope towards the drain. Windows have to be screened with nylon mesh so that you prevent the entry of pests into your premises. All doors have to be closed and tightly fitting. Then lighting, all the lights have to be protected. Electronic fly killers have to be installed near the entrance and also inside the hall. You need to have separate hand wash area at the entrance of the processing hall. So these are some of the basic requirements in terms of the internal site standards. Next is the procurement of raw materials. This is very important because if you can control the food safety aspect at this stage, that is receipt of raw materials, then it is very important and it also saves a lot of money. Okay, rather than you know having the entire production done and then you realize that the problem was with your raw material, then in that case you're going to lose out on time, money, manpower, everything goes for a waste. So controlling of the raw materials is very important. Now how do we do that? First of all, any raw material which you purchase has to be from approved suppliers. When I say approved suppliers, you as an organization have to list out what are the bases on which you will select a supplier. Okay, the quality, are they any certified suppliers in terms of they have certain quality standards which they have implemented, and also cost. Okay, so from approved suppliers and even though you receive products from approved suppliers, you need to have incoming material checks. Incoming material checks can be you physically examine the products on receipt. Apart from that, you can also request for a certificate of analysis and also test reports from your suppliers. Okay, so the raw material criteria which you will check for is no off odor, no fungal growth, no dirt, intact packaging. Very important. You have to check for intact packaging, no holes, puffing, etc. If you're purchasing chilled and frozen products, you have to receive them at the correct temperature. Okay, and also best before expiry date has to be checked. So this just gives a brief thing about what are the raw material criteria you will look while purchasing materials. So now you've received the raw material. Storage of raw materials is important. So storage area has to be clean. It has to be free of debris. It has to be well ventilated. There should not be any insects or pests in their store. And the products, it has to be well covered. The way you arrange it, you have to follow FIFO or FEFO. FIFO is nothing but first in, first out. And FEFO is first expired, first out. Then store it at the proper temperature. If it's a frozen product, it has to be stored at -18. If it's a chilled product, at 5 degrees or less. If it's got to be stored at room temperature, you need to store it at the ambient temperature. The products have to be stacked properly, and the storage racks, they have to be at least 6 inches away from the ground and also away from the wall. Suppose you have vegetarian, non-vegetarian and allergen products. All these products have to be physically separate. All products have to be stored with a proper labeling. Now we're going to see the preparation of raw materials. So only potable water has to be used for washing and also your preparation. All raw materials, especially fruits and vegetables, have to be disinfected. Dry products, you need to sieve before use. Frozen products have to be thawed either in the refrigerator or under potable water. And you need to ensure that only the required portion is thawed at a time. Moving on to processing. So color coded and separate equipments have to be used for veg, non-veg and allergens. Okay. Some industries they have color coded knives and cutting boards even within the non-veg section, like a different color code for seafood, for different color code for meat, cooked meat, raw meat. So there these color codes also vary. Next is potable water has to be used for cooking, serving, and also for beverages. Now let us look at how temperatures play a very critical role in the processing of food. So under ideal conditions, the bacteria multiplies rapidly between 5 degrees and 60 degrees. So the food industry, this is known as a danger zone for food. So now what happens below 5 degrees Celsius is that the bacteria multiplies slowly and at freezing temperatures, that is at minus 18. Okay, at freezing we're talking about minus 18. The bacteria stop multiplying and it becomes dormant. We should remember that freezing does not kill the bacteria, it only makes the bacteria dormant. That is why we say when you want to thaw a frozen product, you need to only take out what is to be thawed, what is to be used and thaw it. Okay? If you take out the entire frozen product, thaw it, and partially cook half, and then you put back the other half into the domestic freezer, this is only going to increase the bacterial load. Okay. Next is most bacteria are killed at temperatures above 60 degrees. So it is good if you can heat your products uh, um, to a temperature of 60 degrees and more. Okay. So you need to maintain records of all the critical controls that you are uh, having in your process. Okay. Right from temperature, maintenance of freezer temperature, maintenance of chiller temperature, cooking temperature, all these records have to be maintained in your organization. Let us now look at equipments. All industries we use some kind of equipment for the processing of food. So these food contact surfaces have to be of a food grade material. And you need to ensure that the equipment are cleaned before and after use. Regular maintenance of the equipment has to be carried out. This is what we call as preventive maintenance. All the equipment have to be properly labeled. You need to display the operating instructions. And the equipment have to be operated only by authorized personnel. Any measuring and monitoring equipments that you have, these have to be periodically calibrated. Cleaning, very important aspect in any industry. It is essential for the safe operation of the food business. It must be a continuous and an ongoing process. You cannot just clean once a week and say, I've done the cleaning. It has to be a continuous process. Clean and sanitize all the food services, equipments and utensils with hot water and detergent and also sanitizers. One thing we need to remember, detergents do not kill bacteria. It only removes the dirt and grime. Hot water and sanitizers kill bacteria. You need to implement a cleaning schedule so that cleaning is conducted on a regular basis and every aspect or every part of the factory and the premises is cleaned. You can also ensure that rubber gloves are worn while cleaning. Pest control is the next aspect. So the common pests which we find in a food premises, this includes rats, mice, flies and cockroaches. We are all aware of this. So how do we control this? First, you need to have either a trained person in-house who can carry out the pest control, but most of the industries have an authorized agency who will carry out the pest control on a periodic basis. So only trained persons have to carry out the pest control. So the chemicals that are used, quantity that is used, everything has to be approved. Okay. The other ways to prevent pest from entering your premises is that you can have screens, the windows and doors, and also electronic insect killing devices, that is EFKs, have to be provided. Waste disposal. Waste has to be segregated. Food, plastic, and paper. The waste has to be away from the food storage area. Waste disposal has to be away from the food storage area. All the dustbins have to be closed at all times. It is preferable if you have a leg operated dustbin. Dustbins should be emptied periodically and cleaned. You should ensure that all external bins are covered, and the external waste bin area should also be free of pests and birds. Okay. These are all very small aspects which was very, very common, but it has to be implemented in all the food industries. Okay, personal hygiene. Now, personal hygiene, we're going to talk about the facilities, the personal behavior, and also in terms of health aspect. So, facilities, hand wash basin has to be provided at the entrance of the premises and also outside the toilets. These hand wash basins have to also be provided with soaps and adequate water supply. A tissue roll or a hand dryer has to be provided along with the sanitizer. We need to ensure that toilets are not connected with the food handling area and it should be free of odor. Apart from that, personal lockers have to be provided where the personal belongings of the employees can be stored. Aprons, hand gloves, face masks, and head covers must be provided. In terms of personal hygiene practices, what should the employees do, or anyone from the organization? No smoking, chewing tobacco, or no spitting in the premises. Cuts and wounds have to be covered with waterproof plasters. Fingernails have to be kept short and clean. Nail polish is not allowed. The organization also should have a jewelry policy. This will include no finger rings, no stone-studded earring, and no studs. Flowers and sticker bindis are not allowed inside the food handling area. Strong smelling perfumes, aftershave lotions, deodorants, which can cause a taint, is also not allowed. Personal items like medicines, purse, watches, cell phones, these are also not allowed inside the food handling areas. Moving on to health, temperature checks have to be done at the entry. Now, this is an added point considering the current scenario. Highest hygiene practices have to be followed. In all food industries, this is very important. It has been followed for many years, but a lot of importance has been given right now, and you are all aware why. So, hand hygiene, wash with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizers. You also need to practice a good respiratory hygiene. That is, cover your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing. Wash hands after coughing and sneezing. And food handlers who have some kind of an infection, diarrhea, vomiting, stomach infection, or any foodborne infection should not be allowed to handle the food. So this brings us to the end of the presentation. We have covered various aspects of the food safety and GMP, which can be implemented by any small or medium enterprise. Okay, it can be your even your kitchen, cloud kitchen, or a kitchen based out of your home, or a small food industry. So these are the basic GMP requirements that can be implemented. Okay, I hope you had a great presentation. I hope this was useful. Let us all strive for a safe food today for a healthier tomorrow. Thank you.